Welcome, everybody, and hello. I'm Jacquie Malloy, responsible for projects and communications here at Meaningful Aging Australia. And as always, we'll kick off with an acknowledgement of the traditional owners of the lands we're coming from. Where Meaningful Aging is coming from today, it's the land of the Wurundjeri people here in the Kulin Nation. And we would like to pay our respects to elders, past and present, and also acknowledge the incredible resilience of our First Nations people when it comes to their spirituality and the connection with the land and the waters. Thank you. Today it is The Little Things, and I'm so pleased to also introduce to you our special guest who'll be chatting with me, and that's Pip Mackey. And Pip was the researcher and project lead of The Little Things. It is a tremendous resource that we're so proud to be involved with. And I think when we get Pip, I'm just going to pin her here to introduce her. Hi, Pip. Thanks for being with us today.
Hi, thanks, Jacquie.
Pip is also the facilitator of any of the Little Things workshops that we've done in the past, which have mostly been at organisations doing trainer. But we're also opening up for a public workshop where individuals can come and learn more about the little things. I want to give you just a little bit of a snapshot on a video, but before I do that, I'd love to share the first anecdote I ever heard about the little things when I started here at Meaningful Aging Australia, and it has really, really stuck with me. And that is some feedback from someone, from one of the participants, a PCW, a guy who didn't have English as a first language. And unbeknownst to anyone that he worked with, he had real anxiety around his level of fluency. And he felt always some shame around that, and the fact that perhaps it made him not be as good a care provider as others. And his feedback from leaving the session was that he understood he'd been doing well all this time. And the only way he found that out was from doing this workshop, this course on the little things, and being introduced to the principles and how fluency is not necessarily a measure of how we can create real, trusted, conversational relation. And I think that that's just such a beautiful thing for this young man to know, that shame that he'd been holding. And I can't imagine that he would be alone. So if for no other reason than just to free up that sort of like emotional awareness and presence of support care workers, I think is extremely important. So Pip, that's the first time you've heard me mention that particular feedback, but yeah, that I heard that probably in the first couple of weeks, and yeah, it is really stuck with me. Okay, so before Pip and I get into a bit of a conversation about this, let me share with you, I'm going to try and do this as I talk. Let me share with you my video, which is actually on our YouTube channel. I can't see. I had it all geared up. Where is it?
There's nothing like the anxiety of a Zoom share.
You know, I don't really want to share with you everything on my computer. Not surprisingly. So I think what I'll do is we'll just hope for I don't know how to do it. Marnie, if that's something you can bring up in the background, and we'll get to it. I honestly, guys, I had it all. It was all there, and now I have no idea how to get it back. So Pip, let's leave that for a minute, that charming 1-minute video that now you'll all be hanging and waiting on the edge of your seat for. And let's talk about the little things, the program.
And that video works quite well at the end of a session too, Jacquie, just to let you know.
good. So what do you think would be, like, if you had to think about what would be the top reason why a support worker would benefit from the little things?
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
Well, I guess the main thing is the research went into the way a personal carer actually communicates with an older person, and the kit, the training was all developed from the ground up using a linguistics research method that looks at what people actually do rather than what people think they do. So the reason it's called the little things is that it is looking at some of the little things we do in language that we're not even aware of. And I've heard people talk about people talk about it in relation to the care of themselves or their parents, that it is these little things that can be missing. And if we just rely on people reporting what is how people are communicating, then they may miss some of those small aspects of communication that we all do and we all use and we can use across cultures. So when I talk about that, we'd start with just the way we use our voices, so our intonation. And that can be things like, instead of saying stand up, if we say stand up with a bit of a lilt to our voices, it can come across as something completely different.
Yeah.
Or as you just did, went, to show that you were listening to me. And those we call them discourse markers, are vitally important. And as that young man you were talking about would have noticed, he probably does that because he's relating his emotional intelligence back to the older people he's looking after. So that's another thing that we point out, the ways to show that you're listening or that you have empathy. So those empathic markers, again, those that doesn't really sound very genuine. But if you do a genuine empathic response, you don't actually have to have a whole lot of words and a whole lot of language, but you can use these response markers, and it really engages across from one person to another without it being a really fancy level of language that you've got. So those are just a couple of examples, and in the little things we sort of define more.
And I can imagine, I mean, the image that we've got in our heads while you're talking, Pip, I think is obviously from the support workers' perspective. So the kinds of sounds that they might make to demonstrate they're listening to the older person, or that they have empathy. But I can see it's also like there are sounds, linguistic sounds that older people make that give clues that the support worker can respond to as well. And so I think one of the things about the little things that I love is that once you start understanding the little things, these linguistic markers, for example, and how we use that to demonstrate, then we can also create conversation out of it. So if an older person makes a sound that demonstrates surprise or pain or fear or anxiety, that's something that the support worker can use to play back. Oh, is that all right? Oh, did you find that funny? You know, I mean, you're sort of listening, you're more aware. And I think not only is it about listening skills then, it's about really seeing someone, isn't it?
Yeah, or like fully engaging in a conversation, I guess. So that's having based this in, like, we took recordings of personal carers working with older people, and we've based all the training on that, on those kind of interactions. So one of the things when we did this research, we also interviewed personal carers and managers as well to find out where there can be problems. And one of the areas that can be difficult is the fact that carers and older people are not only often talking across cultures, but they're talking across generations and can be multiple generations. So the way some of the things, actually, when we were setting up earlier, I said to Jacquie that she'll be my Delvine Delaney, and that's not really something that, if I used an expression like that, a lot of people would not have a clue what I was talking about. So yeah, you know, we have these different generational ways of talking, and you can't expect a personal carer to be able to do that jump. And one of the things that they do talk about is sometimes just an expression like, "Oh, just poke your head into Edna's room,"
Oh, yeah.
and the personal carer will be going, "What? Poke my head in? What does that mean?" So a big thing about this training is also the suggestion that people speak up if they don't understand things, because that's it. You can't be expected to be able to talk across those
But it's
gaps.
a great point, Pip, that the training kind of gives people permission for it not to be okay for me not to understand what you meant,
Absolutely. And I think
rather than it's
probably,
on me because my fluency isn't enough. Because idiomatic expressions like poke your head in have got nothing to do with fluency. That's not what
no.
language fluency is about. All of those kind of expressions that native speakers take for granted can make no sense, no matter how fluent you are.
Yeah. And it can just be, you know, because you maybe if you grew up in Wodonga, you might have certain expressions that people wouldn't understand if you come from another town in Australia.
Yeah.
But certainly those gaps across generations is a big thing. What's in the box,
I'm
Jacquie?
going to show this box because this is our full training kit for the little things. And that means that an organization can get a full training kit. There's also a digital version of this that you can kind of a DIY, a do it yourself, print out everything. But this is the kit that's got everything in it. And one of the things that you would notice straight off, apart from the fact that it has, you know, the training manual that's got everything in it, including clips from the videos that are used. And there's a USB on the front here that's got the video clips in. But there's also a whole lot of little cards, Pip. All of these. Masses of them, in fact.
Yeah.
I can tell you how many. 70 cue cards. No, 70 in each set.
So
Sets of
I
cue
would
cards.
actually start by looking at this little thing, which looks like a business card. It's inside that big box and it's poked into the front of their training manual. And this is a USB that people can use for that actually all the training is loaded onto this USB, and the hard copies of everything are in that box. And in the so on the USB, PowerPoint presentations that people can use in training. And on those PowerPoints, and also loaded separately onto this, is 6 training films that we developed that really are used as the core of the training. So on those films, we have models of how people actually talk, and we've tried to embed a whole lot of examples of what that communication is. So that's where it starts. And then, as you pointed out, there's that trainer's manual, which outlines steps that you can take and activities that you can run with your staff or students. So the training materials were developed for staff already working in aged care, and also for students who are doing the Certificate 3 in individual support. So yeah, they're designed to be used in either situation.
Yeah, so there's actually on some of these little cards, there are actual sentences, or the words spoken, I should say, more accurately, in the film. So there's little snatches. Just the one that I've picked up is from film 6. And Daxa says, maybe you can come and sit down outside. The more you are on the bed, you think too much. And the little cue down the bottom is to explain or make a suggestion of what that refers to, which is great. I think I know what that's in relation to as well, just based on a few peaks that I've had over the time. This is the handout book for participants, and it's got information about the films, the characters in the films, what their background is.
Yeah, and what I can see on the page that you've opened is the kind of the 2 main concepts that we promote through all the training is relational talk and practical talk. And
relational is the heart.
Yeah,
and practical
it's a little bit cheesy.
No, I love it. I love it.
I like the graphics. Yeah,
beautifully simple. Yeah.
But it's really pointing to the fact that the 2 are enmeshed. That it's we all know that the personal carer has very little time to sit and have cups of tea and meaningful conversations.
Yeah.
So they have to integrate that relational talk into the practical talk. And a lot of it is, as we were talking about with the little things, it's what are the ways that you can soften the language that you might use to get the person to cooperate in a particular task. So it's really pointing out. So if with that, maybe you can come and sit outside. So using words like maybe and perhaps.
Yes.
It's softening the blow of saying, come and sit outside.
Yes, it's time.
Yeah.
And I think too, one of the way, I mean, we've been talking about the linguistic side of things, as we should, because that's the core basis of this whole program. But in a way, I'm sort of thinking you could almost say, come and do the little things workshop to find out how to get people into the shower quicker. Or, you know what I mean? Because you're using these tools, these little things, tools and strategies to develop relationship and trusted relationship. When trust goes up, I think people can often think, oh, this is, is this another thing that we have to overlay on top of everything else?
Yeah.
It actually makes it easier to do the tasks you have to do and to do them in the time frame that you have allotted to do it.
Yeah. And I think you saying that, it just reminds me when we developed the materials, we had Professor Yvonne Wells from La Trobe Uni, who is she did our evaluation of the whole project, and a lot of the feedback she got was exactly on that. She did this, oh gosh, it's gone out of my head. Most significant change evaluation, and interviewed people who'd been involved in the training. And one of the things they often said was that it actually makes them quicker, because
Not surprised to hear that.
It's they recruit cooperation rather than tell,
Yes.
and working with
Yeah.
the older person, and as you said, develop a trusting relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm just doing a spot check of the time. It's 1:22. Pip, I know you're only with us for a couple of minutes more. And we will show you this little clip at the end, maybe when Pip has left us. I do want to bring to your attention that we are running a workshop on Zoom with Pip on
22nd
the
of
22nd of November at
sometime in the day.
You'd think this is a cool piece of information, everyone. Marnie, perhaps
2 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time.
Thank you, Marnie. And Marnie's going to put into the chat. I know you've already put something in the chat. So the training kit, the full training kit, retails for $200. It has 12. It's enough in the kit for 12 participants.
12 to 16 we recommend in a group.
Okay. And there is a member discount for that, as there is for the workshop. We're making this available as a public workshop, which means anyone can sign up on their own to attend, but also organizations, potentially smaller organizations, can also sponsor, say, 1 or 2 or 3 people to come along as well. So the workshop information is there. Pip will be your facilitator at that workshop. And one of the great things about having Pip be a facilitator of these workshops is that she's got the answer for your questions. And I think that's probably one of the most important aspects of the opportunity to train with someone who has developed the material and has also been in and worked with through workshops with other people who are in those roles and have heard their questions as well. So kind of understands when you ask a question, some of the things that sit behind that. So I'd really encourage. Thank you, Pip. Thank you so much for being with us today. Your time is precious, and I know you've got an important commitment. So go well.
Thank you. Good to meet everyone. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, Marnie.
See ya.
Bye.
Okay, please feel free to put any question that you might have in the chat. Marnie, have you been able to, can you organise this?
I will try, Jackie. One moment, please.
It's like 1:14, but it gives you a good kind of summary now, actually, based on what we've been talking about.
All right, one moment, please. Sorry, bear with me while I share my screen and then hopefully get it. Jackie, is there a share with audio when you're doing it this way? I'm used to.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
One moment, please.
Fingers crossed, anyway.
Okay, sorry, here we go.
Messy. Thanks, Marnie. Unfortunately, we didn't crack the sound code.
Oh.
Marnie and I are tech experts. I hope you appreciate the level of expertise we bring to these webinars. Yeah, sorry about that. We will find out the way to do that better. I don't think I often share things on Zoom. Anyway, the little things. Interactive really is about, at the bottom left of share screen is an option to include sound.
Thank you, Greg. Sorry, this is the
We'll now never
IT
forget
movement
that.
here.
We will never forget it. There's other videos, by the way, on our YouTube channel and on the resource page, which you've got the link in the chat for the training bundle page and the training kit. You'll see some links to some of the YouTube clips of people from organizations talking about the impact that it's had and why they've used it. So I think I know we're coming up to the end. So if anyone's got any questions they'd like to raise, or if you've used the little things, I can't tell you how in-depth all of this training material is. It really talks about so many different scenarios, and not just recommendations, but again, drawing back from the research. You probably saw in that video of one of the workers with a recording device on their arm. That was part of the research. When Pip says that they recorded conversations, they actually had the workers wear these taping machines, these recording devices throughout their whole shifts. And so it literally caught everything. So the recommendations are based on also what's been perceived and captured as great ways of interacting with older people, softening language, demonstrating listening, being empathetic. So it's kind of hard to express how profound such a simple and little strategy it can be, but it is indeed profound. And again, very, very proud to be associated with this and with Pip, of course. All right, well, if there are no questions, I hope this has been helpful. I encourage you all to explore the workshop and recommend it to others if it's not something that you're in a position to do because of your role, but you can recognize the impact and importance that it could have for somebody else, whether that's in your organization or outside of where you are now. Please do so. Please get in touch if we can be of any assistance regarding whether or not it's relevant for you or your organization. Are there any workshops planned in WA? Well, the workshop is on Zoom, Pius. So the workshop that we're promoting today on the 22nd is on Zoom. And so that means it's available to everybody around the country. If you're looking for some in-person workshops, we would have to talk separately. That would be a bespoke effort. Okay. Good to see you all. Thank you for coming. And we'll talk soon. Bye now.